running through there. So
It was pretty cool just to see a little bit of background in the pictures and, just how they made their music. 'Cause my brother's a
right,
rap artist, so
right.
I was like, yeah, I've seen some of this stuff
All
around the
right,
house.
right,
I've done some backup tracks.
right. Who knew that would make so much money, right? Who knew? Who knew?
You never know, but that is the beauty of our country,
Right.
to really be able to take nothing and turn it into something that somebody likes and can appreciate.
Wow, and you can do that. And that's one thing, as a black person, I always have to say this to myself because I gripe, I complain. I want things better because we've done so much, but at the same time, you really can't do certain things other places that you can do here.
Yeah.
And so reserving that for whatever it means to us, we have to think about that. A lot of times we get to the point, I'd rather just throw it all away. I'm sick of this country. Da, da, da. But, there are certain things that we have to reserve, and it helps our quality of life because we help build it, here.
Exactly.
So we have to see ourselves in that.
We got a big job. We have to preserve it because Benjamin Franklin said it best. It is a republic if you can keep it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And there is no more after that.
Once it's gone, it's gone. Wow.
Yeah.
Man. You ready? You ready, Dre?
Okay.
Hey, I was looking at Dre. You ready? When you were talking about when we're talking about Roe versus Wade, and we're talking about the three branches, I think it's interesting that people stormed Capitol Hill. I think that's very, very interesting. And after us seeing the people storm Capitol Hill, it shows you more of where people are and how they feel about the government right now and where they feel. Do you think, how do you, well, I guess let me ask you this because I don't want to ask you the wrong way. Do you think that was actually like them trying to commit a coup, or do you think it was just some rambunctious people who got a little wild January 6th?
I think it's very convoluted. And I think it depends on the way you look at it and what perspective you have. Right. Because there were people there that wanted their grievances heard. There were people there that wanted to cause damage and cause a scene.
Right.
And there were people there that wanted to make a statement.
Right.
So when you have footage of individuals breaking glass and hitting on police and police fighting back, but then you have other footage of individuals being waved in by police officers and walking between red ropes, it's like it almost looks like you're living in two different worlds simultaneously.
Wow.
So right now with the hearings going on, I'm really hoping that it brings forth evidence to bring it to a close. Because, for some people, our Congress is grandstanding with these hearings that are going on. For others, they're bringing forth information. So my whole thing at the end of the day is, please don't spend any more of our money doing this if you're really not going to come to a resolution, because we've got bigger problems.
Definitely.
Even than January 6th, even though it is a problem, because we don't want this to happen again.
Right.
We live in a civil country. We are a nation of laws. We cannot break laws and then expect for those laws to protect us. You know what I'm saying? We can't do that.
Now I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you think January 6th and the summer with the Black Lives Matter riots, do you think they're the same thing? Do you think January 6th is a result of that? Or do you think they're totally just two different separate cases?
I think they're separate occasions.
Okay.
With the BLM riots, it was a little bit different because the anger that was there, but there were also situations where police stood down to protect themselves. There were situations that they just couldn't get involved in because there were too many people.
Right.
So they couldn't, you know what I'm saying? There was just a little bit more going on, where with the January 6th, they said it was, or not orchestrated, but planned out more so, but then it got out of hand. With the BLM riots, was it planned?
It just happened.
Or did it just organically occur? Well, they've never investigated those riots. They've looked at them, they've documented them, we've seen them aired as they were occurring, but did anybody ever go back and say, okay, let's have a debrief on what happened, where it occurred, do we need to, bring different local governments together to say, okay, if this ever happens again, what are our next steps?
Right.
Did we do that? To my knowledge, I don't know because I don't live in every state, but here in Atlanta, to my knowledge, I don't think so.
Yeah, it really, being in this community in Atlanta and just different things that I've seen and just talking to people, having family up here, it seems like this was the most like divided place by that time. Like, because Atlanta has this part of Atlanta that's like, oh, black people are only living this way here, and there's this outlet for them, and everything's good. But then at the same time, everybody has a community that's struggling, and so it kind of puts, when you talk about the businesses and the riots and stuff, it kind of actually put you versus your own people if you have a business and you're trying to operate, So in a city like Atlanta where people are doing so good, but at the same time you have 3-4 different classes and communities, how hard is it, for everybody to get on that same mindset and go to where we need to be as people, as Americans?
Yeah, well, you just have to look at the 3 basic things that everybody wants: place to live, food to eat, and a livable wage.
I wish we could agree on those, though.
Those are 3 things we can agree on.
Right.
But what we don't agree on is how we get there, what that looks like.
That's true.
All of us have our different perspectives. And so with those riots, a lot of that came to a head.
Right.
On both sides.
Right.
So.
Wow. And it's interesting to just see how frustrated people are, how much people want to change. Yes. That's very, very, very important. I love it. I'm just a little toxic podcast. Hey, that's behind the scenes?
That's behind the scenes.
Hey, we going in.
We with Shaq Nichols, man.
We going in.
Jules up at iHeart ATL.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this episode to drop, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited, man.
Okay.
I'm excited to see some new things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How we going. Independent out of the way.
And I like the fact that I'm getting introduced to this campaign off the ground, and it's just a beautiful thing because how many people do you get to talk to, most politicians, they do give you kind of like the attitude like, oh, well, I don't have to talk to you, or I'm only here for a little bit. It's one thing when you're supposed to represent the people, but everywhere you go, you're rushed and you got all these handlers and you can't. I understand it for safety, but when you do that and you run into councilman in your city, it just seems ridiculous,